Greeting, greetings, excuse me. Black Light here once again. We're still talking about technology, but the question I want to ask is should we, when I say we, I'm talking about exclusively the black people in America, the descendants of so-called slaves, really prisoners of war is a better term, prisoners of war made to be slaves. We were deprived of human rights. We were deprived of civil rights. We were deprived of our names, culture, God, the way we worship. At one point, we couldn't even play music, couldn't beat the drums, couldn't read. They wouldn't allow us to read for 400 years. They don't want to pay reparations, so shouldn't we be tax exempt? Well, your counterparts, the Caucasian, he don't believe that he should be paying taxes too. Some of them don't. But they are not heard and won't be heard because they know that the Constitution is broken, that it's no longer in effect. So we're going to, have a little series on trickery, how you've been frauded, the black man. And so happens the Caucasian been frauded, but he can live with it. Some of y'all can live with it. But the real warriors, independent thinkers we're not tolerating it. I'm the voice, and I hope YouTube don't shut me down because they depend on this system as, to get their money. But the black man don't have to depend on this system. So who started this? We're going to get to it. When I mean this is the IRS, and we're going to get to that. But first, let's listen to this young lady here. You see her name. Let's listen to her explain some things about taxes. Since it's tax season, let's hear her talk.
There is no law, and to date, nobody has been able to show that there is a law for the average American citizen working day in and day out to pay an income tax.
The We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll answer these people's questions they're asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress, we've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
There is no law. There is no law that requires the average American worker in the private sector to pay a direct unapportioned tax on their labor and compensation for services. There is no law.
I really expected that, of course there's a law.
that you can point to in the law book, the code, that requires you to file a tax return? Of course there is. Maybe I don't know what it is right then as he was speaking to me, but sure. So naively, I agreed to go off and research it and get back to him. 3.5 months later, I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable, at least not me and most people I know, and I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
I had to leave the IRS because I presented evidence that I had accumulated indicating that the agency was violating the law and violating people's rights. And I asked the agency for a response to my sincere concerns. And the answer I got was that they would not respond to my concerns and that they would provide me with the paperwork necessary to tender my resignation.
You can look through the statutes and look for the law that requires you to pay. And when you do that, you can't identify a law that requires the average person in America who earns a wage and works in private business to pay an income tax.
American citizens, along with the foundation, have been asking the IRS to specifically provide them with the underlying legal foundation upon which they administer and enforce the personal income tax laws in our country.
At the national level, when people would attempt to contact somebody of a much higher authority, say the commissioner, same kind of thing, they would get answers that were in effect non-answers.
You have to understand that an agency which will unlawfully impose a tax that doesn't exist is not going to care if we, the people, don't know what our rights are. They're not going to tell us.
So this sister here, like so many of us naive people, the only reason why she found out, well, she was working for the IRS as an agent, and when she found out that it's a fraud, that means the whole Constitution is a fraud. They stopped short, and the IRS is a wing of the Federal Reserve. When you talk about the United States is so many trillions of dollars in debt, they owe it to the Federal Reserve because they're the ones that loan the money. And the people is the collateral, the time, the energy, the minds. 24/7 around the clock is devoted to working for free. The Federal Reserve note is like a token. You could take that on an IOU, like really, and get any kind of purchase, any kind of thing you want. But there's a depreciation in everything you get, including the money. Read this book here and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, black people in a different category altogether. We're in a different category because we was promised reparation. So we've been paying taxes hoping that we can get reparations. Some of us don't care because we don't understand. We're not thinking deep enough, about everything, because we want to belong to the slave master. Right or wrong, we're gonna belong. And we're going to just run off a series of videos We letting them talk. I've been knew about this for years. When we talk about the 85% deaf, dumb, and blind, and then we talk about the 5%ers, poor righteous teachers, talking about brothers like myself. Now some of these brothers, a lot of them on YouTube, brothers and sisters, are faking the flavor. They're using black to get paid. A lot of people are doing that. I'm going to point out the ones that's doing it as we go. I promised a long time ago, but I got to show you now because time is running out. Everything depends on you waking up, waking your friends up if you want to be saved. Don't think that you can't do without this system. Because if you think you can't do without this system, no matter what you say you are, Christian, Muslim, Moor, whatever you call yourself, black, whatever, something wrong with you. Because this system wasn't always here. For thousands and thousands of years, we prospered and lived without it. Look at the pyramids. Just look, the pyramids is left there for a reminder of what the black man has accomplished, that the Caucasian can't even figure out how it was done to this day. He guessing. He don't know. This is Black Light saying sugar and sugar, salt and salt. If you ain't digging on this, it ain't my fault. Stay tuned up.